Welcome everybody to Smooth Finish. It's been a minute. It's summertime, hot as heck, at least in Florida, I think about everywhere. We really just, today we got some tools for your toolbox. We got two brand new white papers that we're going to talk about that are good for the members to really educate consumers on. This is what we do with these white papers. We've got the really technical ones, and then we got the ones that you can share along and hopefully can make some sense to a homeowner for an easy read and try and reiterate what you're saying to them. Today's papers are white paper number 6, tips on filling the pool and initial startup, and white paper number 7, avoiding soft water or water with a low calcium hardness. They kind of correlate, and we'll definitely get into that a little bit. So what are we really talking about today? I don't know, 6, 7?
What? I'm the old man in the room, and there's a reference to something that I am not aware of other than white paper 6 and 7.
That's
Well,
exactly
Robbie, I
right.
think, yeah, that's exactly right. What's it mean? We don't know. I think we know what these papers mean, though, so I think we can definitely,
It means how do you fill
talk
your
about
pool and what do you put in
Yeah.
the pool to make it work for you?
Yeah. Well, it brings up one of our favorite terms. I think we've said it in so many podcasts, and that is test your damn water.
Yep. And that starts from the faucet, from the hose, from the house.
From the water truck, from
we
your
cannot
pond.
stress it enough. Test your fill water at the source. Become intimately familiar with the municipality water that is coming out of the spigot.
That's right. So testing your water, we're actually going to do these in reverse. We're going to talk about 7 first. And I just think that's the way to go. It's talking about the calcium hardness in your water, how a soft water or low calcium really can affect a brand new finish. I think we can talk through why that is. The paper certainly does. We have, so maybe we just go there. I mean, nature's balance. Chris, you know about this stuff. What do we do? What's calcium do when it needs, or what's water do when it needs calcium?
Well, it's inevitably going to find it, and it's just that simple. You could get a PhD and write a dissertation on this, but the bottom line is that water is going to seek a natural equilibrium. And one of the things that it needs a set amount for to be, look at this, everybody out there in listening land, I'm using the old air quotes if you can't see us, but water is constantly seeking to find a state of equilibrium. And calcium is one of those variables that it will seek out. So the bottom line is if you have very soft water, which is low calcium water, while it might sound good to a homeowner and it might feel good on your skin, and we've all been in a hotel that has a commercial water softener on it and you literally feel slick almost when you get out of the shower, that's because it's very soft water. So water, though, in its natural state, doesn't like to be soft. And inevitably, it is going to seek out calcium. And it's really good at pulling it out of things. So don't be fooled as water being some passive thing that's out there. If it's low on calcium and it's seeking this equilibrium, it will seek and destroy fixtures and surfaces and different areas of the pool because it is going to pull that calcium out to absorb it into itself, to raise it at the dissolved level and become an equilibrium. And typically, we all know the ranges of what we consider balanced water, 150 to 400. I mean, it just really depends. And there are some different variables to it, but water likes to have a certain amount. And rule of thumb, about 150 or higher is a good ppm for water to be deemed not soft.
We recommend in our company 250 is a happy place to be, because even at 150, where that might be on the low part, our industry standards pretty much cover between 200 and 400. So when you're filling up the pool with specifically with soft water, I know here in Connecticut, I can speak to Connecticut and Long Island. Coming out of the municipality has pretty decent hardness to it, maybe 100. Coming out of the ground, it could be over 200, maybe 300, 400. Go to Long Island, your municipalities over there, you're pulling the water out. It's 30 parts per million. And immediately things start reacting once you put the water in. That's when the hydration starts on the finish. That's where the chemical reactions are being created. And if you're putting 30 parts per million of soft water into the pool, it's already starting to feed. So, it's real important to know what you're putting in, know what your water is, have a plan put together to balance that water as you're filling it, or once it gets filled, to get it up to balance as quickly as possible. I think we have in the startup card, what's it, 4 days to get it up to 150 or 200 parts per million within the
Yeah, I
first
think
4
so.
days. Because it's another thing if you can't necessarily blast the pool with calcium because it can't absorb it fast enough. So it takes a little time for it to build up.
Yeah, and there's a
Yeah,
lot
that's
that you're risking, when you neglect your initial fill and your calcium level specifically. And well, these are great comprehensive papers that are out now because there's a little bit of overlap by design and for good reason, because these topics and these variables and conditions that can arise during initial fill and are important, and they're so important. But you do need to address your calcium, obviously. And Rob, you bring up a great point too, and that's what's covered extensively in these. So be sure and download these and circulate them and familiarize yourself with this information because it's outstanding quality information without a spin on it, by the way. This isn't marketing, this is real data. But, you have everything to risk essentially with putting soft water into a pool, right? I mean, Brent, you know it as well as everybody, but you can get discoloration, you can weaken the structures of things. It's just really, I mean, ultimately it can really short cycle the life of the finish, right? I mean, it's that severe potentially.
Yeah, that's I was going to tee off from what Robbie said. I mean, so calcium hydroxide, which is the byproduct of, the chemical reaction, there's a lot of it that comes out of the finish very early on. And yes, that's going to precipitate into the water. And eventually we all see, and what I think the plaster knows is or the industry knows as plaster dust, which is the excess that ends up coming out. It comes out, starts out clear, and then over time it starts to whiten up because it's a cement-based product. So it like whitens or gives a haze and can do a lot with discoloration. But if you have water that's seeking calcium, you want calcium hydroxide in your matrix, right? It's filling all the little voids and stuff as it's doing it. There's obviously excess, but if there's not enough calcium, it's just gonna draw it out of that brand new finish, and eventually cause a lot of discoloration, cause a lot of weakening of the binder, and create just the service life's going to go down. In some cases, almost ruin right up front your finish. And I used to, in my old days, it was always good. We'd go out to a pool and you could know right away if people didn't deal with their calcium. Right away, it was the finish's problem. And you had this, what was a beautiful, say, Tahoe or Midnight Blue pool that's basically white. Polishing pad and some acid usually showed that it wasn't white because you can get that stuff off. But, and sometimes it was very soft. And, I always got him. My got him, as Dave Chappelle would say, was, in the grout, because the grout's also cementitious, right? So if you had that
Right.
water up at its service line 6 inches up, I could take a metal dental pick, right? And you could scratch the top that wasn't in the water, and then you could go down into the water and the stuff would just fall apart. So look, two dissimilar products. Obviously, you got the water. I mean, it's not a trick of the trade. That was the facts of what was going on. So, you gotta get it up there. I think a lot of people say to maybe try and get to 150 because there will be that calcium hydroxide, coming out during that initial startup. We'll bring it up to a certain point. Again, every manufacturer has their recommendation. You'd have to see what they're thinking. We obviously have, a range that we suggest as well. The technical manual will tell you that. But again, I think what this paper is trying to do is, what we're telling you, what I'm sharing with you now, the gotcha stuff and the whatever, we're trying to help you share with a homeowner how they can avoid that. Or, hey, why are you putting calcium in my water when you're first starting it up? Well, this helps explain that, and it really gives them how you're going to have a better result. There's obviously things, and the paper is very good, and the end there about dispelling, or I should say spelling out what you should avoid and filling the water and what you should do to avoid it as well. We can talk about those now. One is,
one thing I want to point out, when you are testing for hardness, you got to be sure it's for calcium hardness, not overall hardness, because some of the test kits, some of the test kits, specifically test strips, they test for total hardness, not calcium hardness. So you want to make sure that because the culprit here is the calcium hardness, not the total. So just be with, make sure your test can handle it.
You know, it would be a great tool for this to everybody out there.
What would that be, Chris?
Be a little plug.
I think everybody could really benefit and do a better job and improve their internal processes by simply utilizing the free NPC app with its calculator designed specifically for this application. Literally, just a reminder
Precisely.
out there, the NPC app and its water indexing calculator was designed by a PhD mathematician that literally designed it around the needs of these types of pools. This isn't a general LSI calculator for any pool. It is designed for the specific needs that we are talking about with a cementitious pool finish. So just a little fun reminder out there. If you haven't checked it out, be sure and go and download it. I'm looking at it right now. And everything that Rob was just talking about, it's so easy and so simple to use, and you can validate what you're doing right then and there. And let's talk a little bit too, that beware again of not only the conditions of that particular municipality. Rob, you called it out. You guys like 250 because that just works for your area and you guys are intimately familiar with that area and what works best at fill. But there's a lot of homes that might have a water softener on them and people don't realize it, And again, so know the municipality, but also test that tap because it can contribute to it. And that's really what leads us to some options and different things you can do to avoid this pitfall, right, Brent?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have a reverse osmosis system, obviously that takes everything out of the water. Please don't use that water. Turn it off, bypass it, or truck it in. You can certainly truck in the water and fix your problem there. You can always dose your water. You can add calcium to the source water. That's not always a lot of times you do that in liquid form or whatever. That gets tricky. So you got to be careful there. And I guess, the paper even addresses that in some places, interesting to me, I guess, yes, if you're on an island and there's just no other choice, right? Or somewhere, that you have to do something to that finish to try and protect it. And, there is products, we don't endorse any specifically, but there's shields, type densifiers, things like that you can get on that surface specifically at the very initial fill that will kind of protect the leach of the calcium that it's needed for the matrix and give you a better service life for that pool. So there's just all kinds of things to consider. And this paper's not very long. I think we've talked about most of it, but it's concise enough and it's a great little tool for you as a member or anyone in the industry to just share with the homeowner as you're doing this process or as you're getting ready to fill their pool. Quick addressing of simple things,
Yeah, and the bottom line with this particular paper, and this is the beauty of it, it's clear, it's concise, it's straightforward, and it's a report of solutions. It identifies the challenges, but most importantly, it gives you the solutions and tells you what to avoid. So again, it's a quick read, it's a technical paper that was designed and created with the one goal in mind, and that's to elevate the professionalism and the understanding out there in the industry today. So check it out if you haven't yet. This is a really, really good one.
And Chris, you mentioned the app to do the testing, right? So guess what? These white papers are right on the app. They're right on the website.
I'm literally looking at it right meow on my phone.
6-7. So speaking of 6-7, we go from 7 to 6. 7-6. I don't think that works the same. Robbie, what's wrong? You don't understand what we're talking about?
No, I said I was just going to say that, but the chainsaw's going off in my neighbor's yard over here.
Well, it wouldn't be a smooth finish podcast if there wasn't some very intrusive ambient noise permeating in from the Romano household.
You could have a bird, a kid, a wife, and I guess now a chainsaw. Why not?
Nice.
Yeah,
that's what I get for living in the woods.
Some sort of aggressive noise coming in from our Connecticut Center of Excellence over there.
It's outstanding.
You know what it really is. So let's go. This is like a Tarantino movie. We started at the end and now we're ending with the beginning.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
I know some people.
Go ahead.
cut that out.
Forget it.
All good.
Forget it. He's
It's all
cutting
good.
it out. He was going to go somewhere, and
It's
he
like
decided
talking to
reverse.
Linda. Is what I was going to say.
Boy, make sure she doesn't
It
listen to
starts
this
in the
one,
middle,
Robbie.
sometimes goes to the end, goes back to the beginning, and you got to put all the dots together.
Chris,
So,
I'm intently watching the camera right now, see if he gets a smack to the back of the head, but
right.
she must not be anywhere near shots.
So yeah, on that note, so now we're on to the technical paper number 6. We started with
That's right.
7, now we're on 6, and that's tips on filling the pool and initial startup. So this is a little more encompassing. We drilled into the low calcium aspect to start off the conversation, which is covered in this as well. But this is a broader type of pass on the initial fill startup, and you can't emphasize and really stress enough what a critical set of first steps this is after a plastering job, right? It's just that simple. So you have everything to gain by doing this right and understanding it. And that's why, again, download the app, check this out. It's a quick read and familiarize yourself with these tips because it's really going to help identify and help you identify the value that's in this information, right?
Yeah, and I want to clarify, it's tips on filling the pool and initial startup, but this is not startup. This is really more about filling the pool and some steps, at that immediate time. But we certainly don't dig in on this paper. There's the startup card, there's certification course, there's all those things for proper startups. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows this doesn't get that far. It's definitely more about how we fill the pool as soon as possible, those types of topics, the plasters, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. It's really how it all starts, right? And it goes from there. And again, this isn't more of a general idea because it sets you up for success. And the tools are out there, but this is just a good summary that's going to test you or that's gonna confirm what you need to test, kind of what you need to do, and little also things, little caveats like clarifying who's responsible for what, talking about the timing of things and how things sequence, emphasizing too what the quality of water and why it matters. So again, a nice, real comprehensive general pass on this initial startup process, right? Again, it's not the official NPC startup. We've got that dialed in and the sanctioned way to start up one of these pools, but this is more of just general practice and good practice.
That's right. So why? I mean, as soon as practical is what we say, as soon as possible, practical, that you would fill a pool at, once a plaster. We want the water. We really want, as an industry, we want the water in the pool as soon as it can actually get in there. Our plaster that we put on pools, no matter what it is definitely intended to be cured underwater. Like it's a pool finish. It's underwater from really the very, very start. Some finishes fare better than others as far as how fast you got to get that water in, or some demand a little bit of time because of, like a typical white plaster, just an aggregate cement mix with not much else. You want to get water on that, like as soon as that product's hard troweled and will hold water, I should say, and not wash out or whatever the case may be. Once it's hard troweled and ready, because there's the matrix in that is not, as much. And, if you don't get it on, you don't get the water, you let it sit overnight, you could have check cracking, potentially debonding, all these things that can happen because that matrix is shrinking. It needs that water to kind of fill the matrix with the calcium hydroxide, as we talked earlier. When you get to high performance plasters that have larger aggregates, they have polymers and pozzolans, they require, because, a lot of these types of products, people will expose or do what they need to do same day to be able to get that water in there. Some require that you wait a day, or some processes require that you wait a little longer. So you need to get it exposed to the finish that you want it to be. But then again, as soon as you're ready, that water needs to get going. And this paper definitely addresses that, talks about those different things. But, the most important is getting that water in there. Once we start the water, guys, what can't happen?
Never turn it off. Not until, yep, I know this one. I know this one. Not until it's mid skimmer. That water flows. Yep. Let it go. 6, 7.
That's a fun phone call. What did you guys do? You plastered this in layers.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
stopped it, or they're doing work on the job site, and the mason that's doing the patio around the corner decides, oh, there's some water, I need the water, and they don't, and it stops, and a beautiful line is created right there. That's always a fun conversation. And then specifically going back to the check cracks, how long did it take to fill your pool? Oh, it was only 3 or 4 days. 3 or 4 days is enough to get the tops, the shallow end, the steps, everything that gets filled in last gets the biggest check cracks. And who gets the blame? The guy that put the finish in.
Yeah, that's a good point, Robbie. The paper doesn't talk about this. Maybe you guys do this, and we used to say for large commercials, some of these pools take a tremendous amount of time. If you're not trucking water and filling, you never turn the water off, it keeps going. But in some cases, you might set up a watering system for benches or higher elevation areas or areas that you just need to get that water on it. You really want to fill from the lowest point and do those types of things so you don't end up getting other issues as far as stains go.
That's so important too. How many times the homeowner goes ahead and look, the water's running, oh great, and then they leave it in the shallow end, and you have a nice, beautiful dark gray pool with this line that goes right down the center of it because they're helping. We're helping. Oh, let me put another hose in there. And it goes right down the middle of the pool, and it leaves that beautiful hydration mark. So,
Yeah, I've never seen that fan in the pool ever in my life. I've never seen one ever,
Yeah. Well, I want to say this, though. In this paper, it specifically calls out and highlights best practices when filling a pool with a hose and how to do that. It also covers if you are trucking in water, which is fine. And if needed, it's the absolute best way to do it. It talks about specifically how to address that. Now, that's for a backyard pool. We're also talking about what you have to do in order to fill a much larger commercial body of water. But that's what I like about this particular paper is it really does cover a lot of the need tos when initially filling
projects. When you have something that's 5,000 square foot pool, it's difficult to go ahead and get, especially up here, because timing is everything. You're gonna take every trucking company in a small area to try to fill this pool quickly. But I think that the municipalities or these larger pools, they understand what they're getting into. They know ahead of time. And it all comes down to your presentation when you're either selling the job or have it in your paperwork what to expect. I know we do. We have all these disclaimers in our paperwork explaining if you don't fill the pool within a certain amount of time, well, this is what could happen, and this is what we're not liable for. Things like that, because it is
right.
There is a lot of cover your ass in these scenarios when it does take 2 or 3 days to fill a pool. We advertise, we promote using trucked in water on all our residentials, even if you have city water, because it's not a question of buying water or what have you. It really comes down to filling this vessel as quickly as possible to help avoid check cracks. And I say it that way specifically because nothing's guaranteed.
That's right. And this paper also, and again, it's almost in reverse. I think it's in the middle of the paper, but it goes to considerations again. Test your damn fill water, right? So we got to test the water. It talks about what we just talked about is, don't use low calcium hardness, no RO systems. If you have high metals, make sure you're using filtration. And the other thing that's very specific is you have to be able to circulate and filter the water immediately, right? So you got to make sure either the equipment's set on the pool and working, or you need to have, some sort of mobile circulation pump and a filter, again, to get that excess hydroxide to, all those things. We don't even, I think sequestering agents mentioned it somewhere, all the other good things that come with startup. But it does, and again, it's just a stop point like, hey, before you even start filling this pool, is your equipment working, or do you have a way to circulate the water and filter it? Then, hey, again, check that water and make sure that these things are covered. This paper is a little more robust, it's a little longer, but again, super important things that can help the service life of your pool, stop you from having immediate stains or a weakened surface with a much less service life on it.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And ultimately all roads lead back to, because this particular paper and this tech report, it leads back to, follow up all of this by by implementing the official NPC startup process, right? Download the card, have it, follow those instructions. And this is more of a complete picture, because this paper is covering up the general setup and how you get through the block and tackling of this startup process day one. But remember, it's a 28-day process and beyond, right? So that's really the complete comprehensive setup that we're really touting here right now, and we're really emphasizing and validating.
Right. And don't forget about, don't use wheeled vacuums. Consider
Yep.
not to start the salt system. Heaters
Yep.
don't get going. That again is more about startup, but these are important things at the very, very front side, right? So this is one tool in the toolbox. We're talking about heavily 3 today, the 2 papers, the startup card. I mean, there's just so many things. The NPC Pro app, where all this stuff is right, easily accessible in your hands. This is all great information and tools for for our people in the industry.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. It's designed, and this is done without an agenda. Again, this is all done with one single goal, and that's to elevate the professionalism and effectiveness of applicators out there, and builders and service companies, right? Like people who are actually out there getting their hands wet and putting in and maintaining these pools. This is invaluable information, and there's not an agenda. That's the beauty of it. This is all based on the science and the practicality and the practice of things, right? And it's based off of decades and decades and decades of experience. So we're out there and just trying to simplify it to make this as easy to comprehend, share, and digest as possible. And that's the whole point. So familiarize yourself with these 2 tech papers, download them now. You can get them. What do we have? The website. We have the NPC website, but our social chain pages will all have links. But really the best way to implement and utilize this data is download the app, the NPC Pro app. It has so many valuable tools in there. It's being updated constantly. I gotta say, I just opened it for the first time in like 4 or 5 days, and it looks complete, like we've updated it yet again, right? It looks like so different. There's new features on there, and I'm half the time I've been on this, I've been kind of playing with the app on the side over here, because it really does have a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, it's great for an industry professional. Chris, I wanted to say one thing that we're talking about white papers today, folks, but what I will tell you is if you're an industry professional, the white papers, again, where we started this whole thing off is consumer. It's a good tool for you to, an easy explanation breakdown to kind of explain to a consumer or give them.
Yep.
If you really want to get into nuts and bolts and the science, which Chris keeps talking about, there are technical papers that is what the start of these were, right? There's the full detail of what we're talking about and the science behind it. And then this is the more practical, kind of Cliff Notes version, so you can, make it a little bit more consumable for the end user. So just know that if you need more, want more, it's available to you. There's tech bulletins, there's the tech manual. That's all stuff that you should be doing.
And print this stuff out and put it in your care package. I know when we finish a project for a homeowner, we give a little book, how to take care of your pool, the startup cards in there, and then we pack it up with as much information as we can, including some of these white papers that we feel are pertinent to that particular project.
Yeah, no, that's a great call out, Brent. I think I misspoken. We're referring these as technical papers, but yeah, think of the white paper as essentially something that's just much more consumer friendly, forward facing. It's going to be a little bit more streamlined and not so heavy into the science, even though it represents the science in just a much more digestible way. So to Rob's point, this is data that can be consumer shared, that can be left behind in the packet. And again, it validates and it verifies, and it will also give you some cushion because you're not leaving stones unturned, and you're leaving that homeowner with everything they need to educate themselves for long-term maintenance and success with that pool finish.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
So one thing that we, I wanted to share, NPC is so busy right now. Seems like busy season, like pool season slowing down. NPC's efforts and stuff are just on the ramp. So, flex your finish. If you don't know about it, check into it. Again, look everywhere and anywhere. We're promoting it in every little bit of facet that we can. Matter of fact, this group and a few others will be selecting this month's winner probably within the next few days. And what's that guy going to get? Well, it's going to get a free conference pass. It's going to get some cool little, trial and some other things, and it's going to get a ton of recognition by the NPC out to the industry, which that was really the point. Let's get our industry out there and let people know what we're doing. That's one thing we got going on. We've talked about the app pretty extensively, just all the tools that are available, today on that. And then we have the member directory coming out. That's all coming to a head now. I'm going to say this to members right now. It's not published yet. You might want to go check your listing and make sure it's up to speed. If not, do that quickly, because whatever's listed currently is going to be what's listed in that directory. The scholarship is being put together. The question's ready. The collateral is being put together now to get that out at the industry. As a member, that's a huge benefit for you and your children that are, attending next level, whether it be trade schools, whether a four-year college. There's some requirements, but otherwise, as a member, that's a benefit to you. I know my child's received funds from that, and it's really good to keep the kids involved and interested in our industry, and just be on the lookout for that too. There's some other things going on. The event calendar is always available to you, again, on the app, on the website, nationalplasterscouncil.com. You can go there and find it. We're posting it online and the socials all the time. There's a huge thing coming down the line for our Latino community, which is, the first time ever at NESPA, and I know that's in January, but there's a Spanish driven or Spanish only a startup certification. That is a first. We've worked really hard to get that done. You're going to see on the app soon and on the website, we are interpreting over to Spanish all of these technical papers, white papers. The app is going to have a Spanish only side to it. That's a work in process. So just know that we are definitely going fully forward on that scenario to incorporate our friends in the industry. And then also, there is a big contingent coming. Robbie, this is going to be up in your area in the Northeast. There is probably, I'm going to say 8 classes or something of that nature, startup certifications.
Yeah, a lot of the local pool corp facilities here, we're putting on the startup classes there. We're really looking forward to being part of that.
Yeah, so that's coming out into the industry very quickly. And the other thing we never ask about, we never talk about, hey, we want your help. Join a committee. There's a committee form right on the website. You can call any one of us, I'm sure, or just call an NPC headquarters. They'll get you hooked up. We need some young bloods. We need some people that want to help us grow the NPC, grow our reach into the industry, and just continue forward. So hopefully you see that there's a lot of stuff doing.
Yeah, that's a great point too as we wrap up here. But it's a great opportunity if you're passionate about education or technical aspects or marketing, that we have those committees that we're always looking to add good volunteers to. So, anybody out there listening or anybody that you know of that could be interested at engaging more within the community and within the industry, it's an open door. There's a vetting process, of course, but we're always looking for good people to contribute and fresh ideas, right? So, it's a great opportunity to contribute to an overall lift of the industry, but also it's a great opportunity to network, to grow yourself and grow your business as well. So great point, Brent.
Well, gentlemen, shameless plugs for all of our efforts, obviously, and 2 new tools for the toolbox for our members. I'm not sure we can do much better of a smooth finish here today. What do you think?
I think it's dead on 6-7.
6-7. You guys be good, man. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you guys as always.
Hey, it's Labor Day weekend, so if you're hearing this, then I hope you all have a great Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, be safe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Robbie.